What's going on, Jerome? Beautiful Thursday. Happy Thirsty Thursday out there to those that celebrate. It's time for another Vikings Q&A. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. Periodically, we'll put a call for questions on the community tab. Go check that out. So here are 5 of the good ones. Charles Allen. Andy, I'm looking to attend my first ever Vikings home game this season. Question, is Ticketmaster or StubHub the only way to purchase tickets for the games? If so, can you explain how the electronic ticketing process actually works? Thanks. Love your podcast, Skull Vikes. So, I'm not the one to ask because I don't go to a lot of Vikings games because I'm always here. Got the TVs going. I'm sweating my fantasy team, sweating my jelly beans and stuff. It's weird because, I mean, we're a Vikings channel, but I've gone to infinitely more like Twins and Wolves games than Vikings games in like the last 20 years. It's kind of weird, man. Anyways, but I'm not sure how it works per se, but generally it is, Ticketmaster, StubHub, some other online, ticket apps, and, you got them on your phone. They don't have paper tickets anymore unless you request them. So I don't know. And they get transferred an email and all that stuff. Again, I'm not the proper one to ask, but also I know that if you're looking to buy tickets straight from the Vikings, you wait in the queue and then like all these third-party sellers grab them up before the real fans can get them, which kind of sucks. It's almost like Pearl Jam should do something about this. I don't know, man. I don't know. But, yeah, I think eventually there's going to be something bust up because it really sucks, especially like, hey, if you want to go to a baseball game and you see like jabroni seats are like $9, you're like, okay, here we go. And then after fees, it's like $39. You're just like, what the hell? I mean, what are we doing here? Come on, man. But welcome on in. Minneapolis is a good time. Great state of Minnesota. So that's right. Get on. Also, U.S. Bank Stadium. So the crowd, it's pretty electric. It's when it's on, man. And also, your first time in that building, hitting that bum bum skull chant. Come on, let's go, playa. That's right. Next up, Dana Wagner. You're so cool. Thank you. I watch you every day. But how much do you think Kevin O'Connell? This is a smooth transition. How much do you think Kevin O'Connell offense will improve in year 3 with J.J. McCarthy? So I think you have to approach it like it's McCarthy or Darnold. I think either one could produce similar results. And with O'Connell, so O'Connell was still a question mark coming into last season, where the Vikings had that magic carpet ride, a point differential up your ass, but an amazing offensive season. And O'Connell, so he wasn't a full-time play caller at any stop as an assistant. He'd been sporadically calling plays, usually like his time in Washington, but he hadn't been like the full-on OC. Like, he had the title with the Rams, but obviously a Sean McVay calling plays. Now, here in Minnesota, 2022 was fantastic. 2023 was marred by injuries to Jefferson as well as Kirk Cousins, and they had a gong show of 4 different quarterbacks. But I actually do think that it speaks volumes about O'Connell's ability to adapt on the fly, where you got some of the best out of Josh Dobbs until you didn't. You got some of the best out of Nick Mullins until you didn't. And you got something. You had one decent drive out of Jaron Hall until you didn't. But also, so he's been doing this without a really solidified interior offensive line. He hasn't necessarily had a huge run game in either season. Like Dalvin had, a 1,000-yard season in 2022, but it was sort of piecemeal. Lowest yards per carry of his career, of his Vikings career rather. His yards per carry with the Jets was worse. But I do think that O'Connell is still feeling his way as an offensive play caller. But I think that his teaching ability, I think that his offensive innovation, I think that his ideas are really coming together. And I think the Vikings got themselves a great one. They just have a little bit of patience, and I still think with the skill set of Darnold and McCarthy, especially McCarthy long term, I think this offense could be legit. Absolutely legit. Next, Cody Pierce. What's your one bold prediction for both offense and defense this year? So I love this graphic, and yes, I know it's dated because it's got Vegas in the background, but I'm too lazy to change it to where's the Super Bowl this year? It doesn't matter. But prediction for the offense. So I predict, doesn't matter who is that quarterback, whether it's Darnold or McCarthy, I think the Vikings have a top 8 offense. All right, so you're a little bit spicier than top 10, not quite top 5, but I just think that given the tackles, given the playmakers, given the Aaron Jones and the run game, I think with Kevin O'Connell, I just think that there's too much firepower not to be legit there. Defensively, I think that the Vikings will not lead the league in blitzes like they did last year, but I think they'll lead the league in pressures. All right. I think that for the first time in 2 years, I guess, Flores is going to be able to get consistent pressure with 4. And yeah, the Vikings led the league in blitzes last year with like 49.2% or something like that. But I think they can actually dial it back and drop more guys in coverage, and that is a great competitive advantage. Like if you can consistently get pressure with 4, and yeah, you're gonna mix things up. It's not always the same 4, but you're able to drop 7. That's confusing for the offense. That puts their ass in the jackpot. And I think the Vikings defense will lead the league in pressures. Offensively, they'll be top 8. So that's spicy. That's right. Next, Russell Schrader. Will you fight Tom Pelissero on the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson undercard? He has really been throwing your hashtag Caps of Myth theory under the bus lately. Well, sorry is what it is. Now, I love and respect Tom Pelissero. Hashtag one of us, Minnesota dude. He also, it's Northern Burbs versus Southern Burbs. Bring it on. But Pelissero, like, he's a big J journalist. Yeah, obviously he's got his bona fides. We're basically a step above homeless. Like we're like world star hip hop videos, except about the Vikings, essentially. All right. But I don't know, like I feel like I could take Pelissero. Like, yes, he's got the height. Yes, he's got the reach. Pretty sure I have the weight advantage. But also, I don't know, like, is this gonna be boxing? Because I would prefer it if it's mixed martial arts or grappling or jiu-jitsu. Because I'm biased. We'll just go with that. No, but respect what Pelissero does. But, the whole thing about the cap is a myth. It is a myth until it's not. So you can kick the can down the road, and yes, the value of $1 in the future is less than a value of $1 right now. Actually, no, other way around. Yeah, because as the cap goes up and up and up, it's not like you accrue interest on if you kick cap hits down the road. But eventually, the bill does come due. Every single dollar that you pay out to players has to be tabulated against the cap at one time. Now, it's flexible, and you can basically do whatever you want with it. But at a certain point, you look at the Bills, you look at the Saints, it's like you can definitely mismanage things. But it's definitely a myth when you have a wizard like Rob Thug Life Brzezinski and his fabulous mullet working the books, and you're good to go there. Stupid Dallas Mavericks. Your face. Lastly, Miles. Are you concerned about this team's ability to stop the run? I still remember the Eagles game and how Swift stole our soul. Now he's a Lion. He's on the Bears now. And so, obviously, stopping the run is paramount. And the Vikings, they've been lacking that true nose tackle for a long time now. And they didn't really address it. They still got Harrison Phillips, Dirty Harry working the nose. And, yes, he led the league in tackles for loss as well as he led defensive tiers with tackles as well as had a career high in snaps. Now, they have talked about reducing his snaps this year. But, I was looking for Tavondre Sweat. I was looking for some sort of like true blue nose tackle. Well, maybe Sweat's a bad example after things came out. But was looking to add size. And now the Vikings were tied to Christian Wilkins. They were tied to Tierre Tart in free agency. So obviously they wanted to do something inside. But also, stopping the run isn't simply about just having the size, right? Because you got to have a little bit of quickness and speed too. Also, team discipline in terms of absorbing bodies up front, allowing your linebackers to scrape, as well as gap discipline, gap integrity, not playing hero ball. Like all that goes in, just beyond having size, right? And I think that Flores in year 2, as well as some new guys up front, including new defensive line coach, I think that the Vikings could get it right up front. And also, I feel like Cashman's really underrated in terms of improving the Vikings' run defense, because I feel like that he really rose up last year with D'Amico Ryans in that Texans defense, scraping, making tackles, filling gaps, and doing all of that. So I do think the Vikings will be fierce up front. And besides, pressure and quick penetration doesn't only just help on passing downs, but it also helps on running downs too. Just completely discombobulating things in the backfield, contacting the running back behind the line of scrimmage on his side, and just getting after things. So overall, I feel all right. With things. But that's it. Your thoughts are thoughts. Vikings Q&A on this beautiful Thursday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol. Production value.